Who was that person that was most pivotal in your career?
That's a great question. I had a lot of figures, a lot of people that I looked up to growing up. But I would say somebody pivotal outside of my parents would probably be my high school football coach, Coach Tommy Williams. He actually he resigned from PRP, so he's looking elsewhere.
He's my high school coach as well, Michelle Freeze. She really busted her butt to make sure I did what I did and got to college. She pushed me past my limits. She challenged me every day. She was one of those coaches, she would take me out of the game until I got my stats. I really, really appreciate everything she's done for me.
Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Pro. In this episode, I spent time talking with former NFL wide receiver Taywan Taylor and international basketball star Monique Reid. Taywan and Monique share their unique story of growing up in Louisville, Kentucky, what it's like to be a professional athlete, plus much, much more. Take a listen, hit the subscribe button, and let's go Behind the Pro. We can just jump right on in with both of you, and both of you being from Louisville and playing separate sports, but I want to get your journey. So Monique, let's start with you. Talk about what it was like growing up in Louisville and then coming up through the ranks and dominating in basketball.
I always wanted to play basketball. I started when I was young. I saw my dad play, and then once I seen him play, I wanted to play myself. I grew up downtown West End area, and then I moved out to Fern Creek with my grandmother. I went to Fern Creek High School, and from there I went to Louisville. Louisville had an awesome career. One thing I'm mostly proud of is being the first one to graduate from college in my family, and then also having a chance to play for 2 national championships, which I'm still the only one that's played in 2. And then just recently, I just retired from playing 10 years. I played pro 10 years and played in 11 different countries. And right now I'm in my coaching career, and I just got inducted into the Louisville Hall of Fame.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Congratulations, Monique.
Thank you.
Now, Taywan, you also grew up in Louisville. Different sport, but what was it like for you?
Yeah. So just to echo what Monique said, that's the same as me. I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. Grew up downtown Louisville, Beach Terrace, Muhammad Ali Boulevard. We lived there for quite a time. My mom, she was able to become a nurse. She got a better job. So we ended up moving out Valley Dixie. We ended up moving up south by PRP. So I ended up going to PRP High School. Went there for 4 years, basketball, football. Started off playing basketball first though. So basketball, that was really, my true love. That was my first sport. It kind of drove me, because I felt like basketball took more work personally for me. Just like, I had to really perfect my craft. When I stepped on the field, it kind of came natural. It was easy. I was just had a run, but basketball, it's kind of like love to me because I, put in the work, and I remember everything I went through, to get to the point I was in basketball. But once I got to high school, that's what I said. I kind of started to, I ended up hitting a growth spurt, started getting bigger, lifting weights, in the weight room every day. I started, talking to myself, because I played in Little League. So I was telling my mom, Mom Deuce, I think I want to play football, My basketball coaches, it kind of, it kind of rubbed them a little funny because, the basketball guys, they pride themselves on, one sport. But my coaches, I'm glad that they let me, go out there and, go play football because they was all for it. They was all in support of what I want to do, my dreams. I told them that's what I want to do. So my high school coach, Coach Murray, Coach Kinley, they was cool with that. So I ended up stepping on the field, and from there, really, it was all she wrote. My sophomore year, I started varsity. Freshman year, it kind of started off slow because I came late freshman year football. So after basketball season, freshman year, I got football season. I started kind of late. So, I was able to get my games in. Going into sophomore year, that's when I really started, that's when I really broke. That was like my breakthrough, I would say. I started varsity. What was it? 9 games. So my breakout game, my sophomore year, I had 2 interceptions against Manual. So then that's when I kind of started to know, like, okay, this is going to be a thing. So, going to senior year, long story short, I had 2 great seasons, basketball and football. And then, offers really started to come in my senior year in football. So it was time for me to make a decision. And at that point too, I wasn't really into the whole college Division I, Division II thing. So I was looking at it like, I just want to play ball. Fast forwarded to my first letter of interest was Tennessee Martin. I remember that like yesterday. As I was looking at that, like, it's an Alabama offer because, as I said, coming from PRP, it wasn't too many guys, coming out of PRP, getting college interest. So I ended up taking that visit. I ended up verbally committing to Tennessee Martin. I came back to Louisville. I think we was getting ready for the playoffs. We had just finished the season. Colorado State, my head coach, ended up calling me to his office. I remember this too. He was like, Colorado State, they want to come visit. So Colorado State, one of their offensive coaches, he flew down to Louisville, and he actually was on the field one day watching us practice, and it was crazy. This was the first time we all had seen a college coach on the sideline. So, it was like everybody looked to the right. Oh, so it was like eyes wide. So it was like one of those things. I was like, well, it's crazy. So it was just like everything was happening right before me. But long story short, I ended up I took my first official visit. That's the first time I got on the plane. Flew to Colorado, loved it. Ended up flying back. Western Kentucky offer came right after that. I was just like, man, you know what? I had to make a decision. So I ended up, Bobby Petrino, he ended up coming to my house. He ended up calling he called my mom. And he called me out of nowhere. So this was like caught me off guard. He ended up coming to my home. He sat on my couch. He extended me an offer. And right there, I knew at that moment, like that was it. He came to mom's spot. He's at the house. He's right there. Coach Jeff Brom as well. That's my guy too. I was like, you know what? This is what it's going to be. And I ended up making a commitment to WKU. Got to Western, started off slow, kind of the same way in football, high school. Sophomore year, picked up for me. Bobby Petrino, he left. He went to Louisville. Coach Brom became head coach my sophomore year. He sat down and had a talk with me, about just, becoming that guy. And that's really when, like I said, it really took off. Just like high school, sophomore year, had a better season than the year before. Junior year, had my best season of my college career. Followed it up with a great senior year. Ended up getting drafted 2017 to the Titans. I was with the Titans for 3 years. Got traded to Cleveland. I was with the Browns for 2 years. Then my last year, I was with the Houston Texans. Ended up getting nicked up, rolled my ankle. Ended up signing an injury settlement. That was long story short, business move. And that led me to this point now. Free agent. I ended up taking a job offer with the NFL Players Association. So I'm currently here in Washington working for the Players Association. Been love, it's been it's been a different type of experience for me, but it's been great for me really because I'm just really been exploring myself, making some good connections and really just like getting the feel of how football works, how sports works, and just how the Players Association works because it's really different and it's really interesting to see once you get behind the scenes. So pretty much the journey as of now.
That's awesome. Now, Monique, I want to back up a little bit if you don't mind. Taywan shared his journey of the recruiting process. And so you coming out of high school, what was your process to making decision at that time?
Well, my family's big Louisville fans, and I've always been a Louisville fan. And I remember going to a camp when I was 12 years old, and Coach Martin Clapp was the coach. He named me like MVP of the camp, and he was like, "You're gonna play for me one day." And it's like when he said that, it like sparked me a little bit because it's like, okay, you the coach saying that, that means I can really do it. It's really nice to hear someone on that level tell you can be something special. And I think that kind of motivated me, and I worked hard. Louisville flat out, gave me an offer. I had really good stats leading up to my senior year. Tennessee State, Florida State, Miami, and Middle Tennessee, and Arkansas. And Arkansas was because he was the Louisville coach and he went to Arkansas the year before I came. And then that's when Jeff Walls got the job. So I took a visit to Middle Tennessee and I really, really liked it. Like Middle Tennessee is a really nice place. And they were on me and they were really, really nice. And then I took the visit down Miami, and Miami, they were cool too. But I think being from Kentucky, I just didn't think I was ready for a Miami. It was bigger than basketball for me. Like I wanted to make sure I was going to school for the right reasons. Like I'm not dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm 18 years old. I'm in Miami. I want to hoop. I'm there to hoop, and I'm trying to stay focused. And it got between Middle Tennessee and Louisville, and then I was just like, there's no place like home. Jeff Walls just won a national championship in Maryland, and it was just the perfect fit. And he fit my style of offense, and I just knew I'd be successful there. And I actually really trusted him when I talked to him.
So with both of you having these great careers, and starting with you, Taywan, and answering this, but this is to both of you. Who was that person that was most pivotal in your career? Typically we go to our parents or guardians, whoever it was that raised us, but outside of that, who was that person that has been very pivotal in your career?
You said outside of parents, huh?
Yeah,
outside of parents. That's a great question. I had a lot of figures, a lot of people that I looked up to growing up, but I would say somebody pivotal outside of my parents would probably be my high school football coach Tommy Williams. He actually he resigned from PRP, so he's looking elsewhere. One of my buddies that played at PRP, he's actually the new coach now, Brandon Dunn. He's actually in the league too. So he just retired. He retired from the NFL. But Coach Tommy Williams, man, I think he kind of sees something in me that I didn't see in myself. So it was like, I want to say, like after going into my junior year, after my sophomore year, Coach, he was the one that told me, was like, you playing offense. Like, mind you, I remember I told you I played defense my sophomore year, and that whole year I played defense, and Coach, he was just like, it ain't no way you're just gonna play defense. Like, he's like, you got to play offense. He's like, are you cool with that? Is that like something like, Coach, I'm here to do whatever I can to help the team. And, I think he really seen something in me that I didn't see, and I think that year, that really just transformed me, really. I would say, like, I just started doing things that I didn't even know I could do. But like I said, kind of had a different type of mentality as far as like practice, the way I approach my approach to, practice, school, academics. I mean, I was always level headed and always well rounded, but I think he really inspired me, pushed me like to a different level. And he like same thing as Monique said, he kind of like put that spark in me to like help light a fire. So like, and it just grew and it helped me to become what I am now.
So, Monique, who was that person for you?
That person for me is my high school coach as well, Michelle Freeze. And I say that
Mhm.
because she really busted her butt to make sure I did what I did and got to college. She pushed me past my limits. She challenged me every day. Like she was one of those coaches, like she wouldn't take me out of the game until I got my stats. That's why I was averaging like 30 a game because she wouldn't take me out until I at least got my average. And I appreciated that because of the situation I was in. I played for Fern Creek, a team that wasn't really well known. So, I've always been bigger, 6'1", physical. You don't really see that a lot in high school. Like I was college ready already. So I think that helped me stand out more in the fact that I was scoring like so many points a game. So it was like my coach let me rock and let me be great and put me in situations to be successful. And I mean, she even talked to some of my teachers too. She's like, hey, Monique needs to do her work first and then she's going to get on a computer and do an NCAA clearinghouse. Monique needs to do this and then she's going to practice for her ACT. They found me an ACT person to even help me because the first time I did it, I almost fell asleep. Like I'm just not I just don't test well.
Yeah.
And they got me a tutor. They made sure I was good. They made sure I was taken care of. They made sure I was fed. I mean, I just really, really good people, her and her whole family. I really, really appreciate everything she's done for me. My freshman year, we went to the Final Four. I gave her my Final Four chair because I really owe a lot to her. Like, she was really caring and loved me like a daughter and put me in situations to be successful.
So, talk about what it was like to play for a national championship.
It's really crazy. I mean, honestly, playing for one at 18, when you walk out and you see like 23,000 people looking at you, and we have a big crowd. We actually always had one of the like top crowds in the nation. But when I'm a freshman and I'm standing on that court and I'm looking at 23,000 people look at me, it's like surreal and it's really crazy because like you don't realize how important the moment is until you're in that moment. And then like the way they celebrate you is so amazing. They give you prizes. You walk into your hotel and you have a box full of Final Four stuff and balls and chairs, all type of gear, police escort. They give you, I mean, you get a nice stipend per day and they still feed you good. It's just really an amazing experience. Like they treat you like royalty. They treat you how I feel like you're supposed to be treated. And then like actually playing in that game. And like I played at a time where UConn had went undefeated for 5 years. Yeah. Like we had to play them regular season, we had to play them conference, we had to play them conference championship and national championship. Like, we're playing them at like when they have literally the GOAT Maya Moore on their team. And that's such an incredible experience because like that's something I can always say. Like we defeated a lot of big name teams, but like I played against like the elite. And throughout my career, the Brittany Grinders, the Maya Moores. I mean, I can go on and on and on because when I played in the Big East, it was a matchup every night. So yeah, making it to the championship twice was incredible. My first one was in St. Louis, and then my second one was in New Orleans, and that was by far the best because New Orleans was so much fun. They made it like one big party, and we celebrated everything. Now we lost in the national championship, but with the way they treat you and the way they make you feel like you won everything. And honestly, there's so many Division I teams to make it to the national championship. That's pretty incredible, and that's something I'll always be proud of.
Yeah, that's why I had to hear that story about that because, again, there aren't many people walking the face of this earth that could say they played for it all one time, but yet you were able to go back and do it again. And just real quickly, what did you change from what you learned the first time to say maybe it's preparation or whatever the second time?
I mean, my first time I went a freshman and this last time I went a senior, I think just the maturity and the growth of it all made me more prepared. And then when I was a senior, I could lead my team properly. Like I've seen that done before. As a freshman, I had the number one draft pick, Angel McCautry, as my leader. She's a GOAT as well. But when I'm in that place in my senior year, I properly know how to lead and how to fight through adversity. And then me and coach are on the same page. I know what Jeff wants. I can push the girls just like the coach pushes them because I already know what to expect. It's no mercy. And it's really survival of the fittest and the most mentally ready because it really takes more than physical. It's a mental game. It's so many games, a long season, all the way through the end, fighting through injuries, fight through all type of adversity, and you have finals, and you just find a way to do the best you can. So I was just glad I could be that leader for my team my senior year.
That's awesome. Now, both of you played professional in different sports. So, Taywan, you a third round draft pick. Talk about what that process is like, because a lot of fans, they just see the outside. They just see name being called and families around, things like that. Kind of give us a peek into what that process was like for you.
Oh yeah, that process, that's a grind, man. And I would say that's a journey in itself, like the whole draft process, not even considering like, the fact after the draft, I feel like the whole draft process is a journey in itself, because you gotta think, when you end the season, your senior year, you go right into training, draft training, NFL training. So that's nonstop. And that normally lasts all the way till, you go to your selected bowl game. So your respective bowl game. So, if a player is selected for a bowl game, they have the Senior Bowl, they have the East-West Shrine game, and then they have the Collegiate Bowl, the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. I got selected, thankfully, to go to the Senior Bowl, Lord's willing, because that was an experience. And like, as I said, that was a whole grind too in itself, going out there, being, around some of the top athletes, in college. Just like Monique said, I was around some of the best that year, coming out my year at the Senior Bowl, Myles Garrett, of the world, Mike Williams, all these guys. So around that time, it was just like, so everything was just happening like right before me. It seemed like it was happening fast, but it wasn't. And then, like just preparing for the draft, you just start to, build character. You start to see certain things, about yourself as well, learning, how to be a pro. I felt like I was doing that my senior year, trying to do certain things, learn how to conduct myself in interviews, learn how to talk, learn how to be a professional. I think that was one of the things that tied into that. And then ultimately just the whole combine process, the whole combine prep, all that stuff, that was just a great experience too. And I said, I kind of found myself like just being so in the moment. I think I was losing sight of, like being in that moment. Like that's what I said. I kind of felt like everything that I used to talk about that I dreamed of, like I was actually in it, but I didn't realize it. Like going to the combine, I got selected for the combine, it's once in a lifetime. Get to go to Indianapolis, just being in Indy, getting to go to the coach stadium, prepare, do drills, and just the whole process. But I would say the combine process is very extensive. And I think that's a make or break process. We got up at, I would say 4 a.m. We had to do a drug test. And on the day of the drug test, we had to do our drill. So we had to do our testing. We had to do the 40-yard dash. We had to do the bench press. We had to do squats. We had to do the broad jump. So we had to do all of our drills on the day we had to wake up early. So I think it was a league thing. I think that's one of the things that they do, I think it's a psychological, test to that. But I was just, I just try to embrace that whole process as well. And then just leading up to the draft, I felt like I did everything I did, to set myself apart in the draft process at the combine. I feel like I did what I had to in 40. I wasn't our class personally, 2017 draft class, I think we might have had the slowest overall receiver class, surprisingly. But we had a player that broke the 40-yard dash record. He was in our draft class. So it was kind of like seeing him. It was like, damn, he kind of like put us to shame. Excuse my language. But I mean, overall, the whole process, it was just fun. And then like getting drafted, hearing my name called on draft day, that was once in a lifetime, obviously. And being drafted to Tennessee, coming from Louisville, going to that's a story. It's like a fairy tale. Just, you just don't think something's going to happen like that. It's like going Louisville, Bowling Green, Tennessee. So it was like, a dream come true, and just all the way leading up all the way to that point. It was just like, I was just locked in on, like I said, trying to make the most of my opportunities and make the most of the whole experience.
Now, Monique, will you share with the audience what that process was like for you? Because we see a lot of college stars like yourself and they play internationally, but we don't see how that process actually happened. Can you kind of give us a peek into what that was like for you?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said that too, because national is a great route for athletes. My junior year, I'm thinking I'm going first round the next year. I blew out my knee, then I redshirt and do the same thing to my knee. So I decided not to play basketball, and that was one of the hardest things for me because I regret it all the time. I should have entered the draft anyway, but I didn't know I was still going to play basketball. I really thought I was done. I had 2 microfractures back to back in the same knee. It wasn't looking too good for me. and I kind of listened to the doctors. So I got a basketball job at Fern Creek High School. My old high school, I got the varsity job. And I just told myself I'm going to train like I'm going to play just to stay in shape. And I mean, your senior year, you'll have a bunch of agents write you and write your coach and everything. Because I had people talk to me before. And then I decided not to play. So people kind of fell off. But I remember a guy from Greece wrote me and was like, hey, would you still play? I don't know. I was just like, I don't think I can. But I was just like, I have way too many regrets not to try. So in 2014, I left mid-season, and then I went to Germany, and then yeah, so I've been playing for 10 years. I haven't had the same agent all 10 years. I just picked the agent that was best for me in that situation. So a lot of the times you'll get like agents reach out to you, or when you're OG, teams will reach out to you because they know you can handle everything. So that's kind of the process with me. And once in my later career, I didn't even have an agent.
Wow. Now, you talked about having the two knee injuries. And I'll just say, as an athlete, I want to ask you this. When did you trust your knees and your abilities with your knees after the injury?
Maybe like a year later, honestly, because it is a big mental thing, and it's hard not to tell somebody don't focus on it when you're doing a lot of things you did that got you hurt in the first place. What I did was I just trained different. I wanted to look different. I had to slim down to make sure my knees could hold up. I strengthened my quads. I did everything I could possibly to not get injured again. I just changed it up. And then a lot of people don't know, like, oh, in the overseas route, I can't speak for him because, of course, I'm assuming they have physical trainers, but you might not even have that. So most of the time you're training on your own. So it's either you want it or you don't. So I just had it in my mind I want it. So I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure my knee is straight.
Now, Taywan, I want to ask you something. Now, this is not a typical question, but as a player, as a defensive player, so I played outside linebacker at Wake Forest. So I want to ask you this as a wide receiver. Why do wide receivers do the most? I mean, you got Antonio Brown. Who else was it that went off? Ocho Cinco. What is it? And it's just that one position. What is it about receivers?
I don't know, man. That's crazy. You said that because I feel like everybody's one on one. And as a receiver, that's kind of approach that we have. Everybody feel like they're that guy, but at the end of the day, that's how you got to be, especially when it comes to being at the highest level of the profession. Playing amongst the best. You got to have that type of approach. And I feel like like I said, everybody. No one person's the same. Everybody goes about things that they do, and I think sometimes certain people don't know how to take that, or how to accept, how people who they are and how they are. But being in the business, I'm saying it, seeing firsthand, I understand why some players are the way they are and how the business is, because that's how it operates. And I feel like it's just the competitive nature. Like I said, we've been playing this game our whole life, everybody. So it's kind of like, we kind of in a routine our whole life, starting from little league all the way to the NFL or the highest level. Same with Monique. It's from basketball, from little league, young, all the way to old. You're in a routine every day. You in practice, you competing. So you basically are conditioning yourself, and it's like a competitive nature. I mean, I feel like most of us are born with it. It's just instincts, being an athlete. And I think it's just that competitive nature of wanting to be the best and be the guy, especially as a receiver. You see the impact that receivers can have on a game, and knowing that we can impact the game in such a way, make plays, be able to help our team, and not only individually but collectively. I think all that drives the standard of being a receiver. So I think it's fun though. I love seeing it. And that's why I said players like you mentioned, Antonio Brown, obviously my favorite receiver ever, Randy Moss. I played for the Cleveland Browns, so I played alongside OBJ, one of my idols who I looked up to. I played alongside Jarvis Lynch, probably the smartest player I've ever played with as far as IQ wise, knowing the game. And like Monique was saying as well, just being around, that's once in a lifetime. Like, I'm never gonna forget that. Like, the first day I got traded to Cleveland, went to O's house. O invited me over. The whole receiving corps was over there, chilling, reading the playbook, just kicking back, camaraderie, building chemistry, building relationships. And I think that's what it's all about, just being around guys, like I said, being around some of the best athletes ever. I mean, it's really, inspiring. And as I'm saying, it really motivates you and helps you see a different side of things, different perspective,
Y'all
for
a little
sure.
bit different though. Y'all a little bit different, just a little bit.
Yeah,
Than
yeah,
that
yeah,
wide
yeah,
receiver. Y'all, I don't know
yeah.
any
I
other
think,
position other than DB. DB's a wide receiver. Y'all
yeah,
totally
everybody
different.
can't do what we do, man. I think it's, yeah. Everybody can,
So,
yeah, we can change the
so
game.
Monique, when you went to play international and you went away from the game, back at the game, you're on the international stage. Who was that one player, or what was that moment where you got that, welcome to the pros?
Oh, I gotta think, because I definitely can hold my own. You know what? I think honestly, when I played in Germany, playing against Euro Cup team, like kind of helped me. One of my close friends, Emma Cannon, I met her out in Germany, and she plays for the Indiana Fever now. But they used to kick our butt, and I used to. We don't play the same position or anything, but like I wanted to be that person, and I've always been like a real high scorer, but like I wanted to like show out because like I'm like these WB girls I'm playing against, I'm that too. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm not in the league, but like I can go. So like that was my main thing. Like I'm gonna show them like, I'm like, okay, well I gotta play in leagues where they're all playing at. So I go there. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to average the most points. That was like my thing for me. I think my first couple years in Germany, just trying to figure out how I can be that person.
Now, Taywan, what about you? What was your welcome to the league moment?
Yep. So I would definitely say my rookie year. I think it was like week 3. We playing the Jaguars. This is when they had their they had that run. That was the year they had that run on the defensive side of the ball. Jalen Ramsey, AJ Bouye. I think they had Miles Jack. They had some studs linebacker. They had some studs at safety. But this is my rookie year, so I'm lined up against AJ. I had some reps against Jalen and earlier in the game. I lined up against AJ. So we about to snap the ball. We snapped the ball, go route on top of AJ Bouye. I should have scored. I died for it. I don't know why I died for it. I was already in front of him. I could have just ran under it, but I don't know. I don't know. I guess I just died just cause. But I got up and I almost was like, dang, I really caught that on AJ Bouye. I didn't know like how to celebrate. Almost, it was like, but I just like kind of was like first down, like. But I was like, okay, yeah, this is the NFL right here. Like, this is big time. I don't think I realized how big it was, that catch, when I did that too. It was like, but we won that game. But I think that catch like kind of sparked us, because after I caught that, Derrick Henry ran it right in. Then we stopped him, scored again. We ended up beating the Jags. But I would say that's definitely welcome to the NFL moment. And then I think 4 weeks later, I scored my first touchdown in my career on Monday Night Football against the Colts. So I was gonna say that, but that AJ Bouye moment, that came before that, and that was like big, because that was like my first big catch. But yeah, it was special for sure. I ain't gonna forget that.
So, Monique, you talked about the knee injuries. Were there any other moments, adversity that you really had to battle through and you don't mind sharing, just as a message of inspiration to someone that may be watching, maybe going through something and they need to fight through it to get out on the other side?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember I was playing over in Jordan, and this is me being real vulnerable because I can talk about this. I was playing over in Jordan, and I was just there for a month tournament, and I get a call out of nowhere, random. My mom's gone. My mom passed. My cousin called me. I just remember dropping to my knees, and I felt so sick, like because I couldn't figure out what happened because my mom was only 50. So all the girls over there in Jordan. And Jordan's like my second home. I'm actually going back to Jordan this year, like go to visit one of my friends. So all the girls just like kind of like showed me love and stuff. And then ironically, I had a tournament. It was started that Friday. So the boss was like, hey, are you coming back if I let you leave? And I was like, I mean, I honestly couldn't give him an answer because I didn't know. Like I said, I'll come back because he was like, we'll pay you when you come back. Like trying to give me like to come back or whatever. And it was just like so much like just trying to fly myself home because like that's not in a contract. Get to fly yourself home. And then also like we had to do it real quick. So like literally flew home there one day, buried my mom, left the next day. So like I was going through all type of emotions. I don't even remember eating for like 5 days. Like seriously, like I don't even know how much weight I dropped. Like I just couldn't eat. And then I had to go back and play in this tournament. And my mom didn't have insurance, so we had to pay for it out of pocket. So I had to go get this money because I had to take care of my family. So it's like a tough situation, but like, I still had to do what I had to do. And that was a lot of adversity for me. And I came back and that Friday, I'm not gonna act like it was easy because I still wasn't eating. But like I played my ass off. We lost, but like I won MVP and I did all type of things and like, and I came back and it was just like empty and nothing. and I really didn't want to play basketball anymore. And I remember sitting on my sister's couch, I don't know, for like 2 weeks straight, and I got a call telling me to go to Chile to play. And I was just like, I really do not have it in me. I cannot play. And so, I just kind of gave myself a little time. And now my family was like, you need to go. Like, you can't just sit here and be miserable. So I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to go. And that was probably one of the best decisions I ever made, because as bad as it sucks, life goes on, and that's what she would have wanted. And I know in the moment, like, people don't think like that, but like, you still have to keep on going. Like, you can't die with someone else. So like, I used that in that adversity, and we end up winning the league. And like, it was hard every day. I cried every day outside, going through all type of emotions. But like, basketball was really my outlet. So like, for anybody going through some stuff, honestly, like, use your sport to help you through that, because like, people don't understand how tough, like, how important your mental is, and a lot of athletes fail to take care of that. So when you fail to take care of that, you fail to take care of everything. So just use sports as an outlet to keep pushing and keep going on. And never give up, because there's going to be better days. I'm not saying it'll be fast, but over time everything gets a little better. And when you push through adversity and you keep winning, what I'm saying, at the end, everything will be okay. So, I hope everybody can like do that, because it takes a strong person to do that. But, once you can get out of that and keep pushing, I feel like your life will come back together.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And Taywan, football being the physical sport that it is, what are some of the things that you've had to deal with, some of the adversity on or off the field during your time and throughout your career, where you really had to take a moment and even pivot in another way?
Yeah, well, I would say a defining moment would be when I got traded from Tennessee. Me being in Tennessee, being drafted there, I obviously built a routine. So I got accustomed to certain things. The city, obviously, I knew the city when I was at Western, being so close. But I had built a routine, and just getting used to the lifestyle in Tennessee. And then when I got traded, that was like, that was the first big move of like my NFL career. Everybody deals with trades, being cut, being released. But that was like my first time being in it, living through it. I went home that day after practice, talked to my GM. He gave me the news, and it was like from there, like Monique just, alluded to, life goes on. So it was like I had to go home, pack all my stuff, and I'm on a plane to Cleveland. Cleveland's waiting for me. So I had to hop on the plane. The whole plane ride, I'm just quiet, like looking at the window, like, dang. And I ain't gonna lie, I was like, dang, it's kind of like getting emotional, like, but I'm thinking like, you got to see it through. So it's like I said, like, that was kind of one of those moments where it was like, okay, take a step back, just realize, like I said, don't lose sight of, I'm blessed. I'm gonna get on the plane, but I'm going somewhere else. This might not be ideal for me, but only God knows what's best. And that's what I said. My faith is strong, and that's always been first and foremost for me is my faith. So, like I said, that probably that probably showed me a lot, and it helped me grow a lot as well. That helped me show a lot of growth. And then I would say as well, my last year after the Houston, I don't think I mentioned this during my introduction. I went to the USFL after I signed my injured reserve contract with Houston Texans. When they released me from my injury, I was out. I was waiting around. I was on standby, trying to see other NFL interests if I would get any, but nothing ever came. So I ended up putting my name in the USFL draft. That was a new football league, and they got a merged league now. So I ended up putting my name in that. And that was humbling for me, even though I was always the humble type of athlete, player, person. I put my team before myself, every time I step on the field, because I always know that I'm gonna do what I gotta do to help my team win. But I would say, it was a blessing in disguise. Really, it really showed me a lot. It helped me, take a step back, realize like, I'm in it because I love the game. This is what I've been doing my whole life. And, I may not be in the NFL, but, being around other guys in the USFL at the time, they didn't get to the league. So talking to them, being around them guys, it helped. It brought me back down to earth. It kind of grounded me. Like, these guys are still trying to get to the NFL. I'm coming from the NFL, coming to the USFL. I could have had a big head. Like, nah, I'm better than this. I'm not going to the USFL. Like what? But when I look back, I'm thankful I did it. It helped me get more film, more exposure. I took 2 visits back to the league after my first USFL season with the Colts and the Giants. I didn't sign, but 2 visits. And I think, all that whole process, it was just like, just showing me like, you keep going, you don't know what can come from it. And that's kind of like, like I said, to, feed off what Monique was saying, just like keep going. Like, that's what I would say to somebody, that really doesn't know where they at. I would say, just keep going and stick with it, because only you got your vision. Nobody else can really see your vision for you. And, you got to just be able to see it through. I'm a firm believer in seeing is believing. So I would say that really those two moments in my career really helped change the trajectory of how I view things and view life and really see the value and stuff.
I think it was RG3, and he talked about athletes making that transition from the game, whether you
Mm-hmm.
stay close to the game and coach or players association, or like myself, still working at the university. But that could be a
Mm-hmm.
tough process for a lot of athletes just to make that transition away from the game, whether it's you stop in college or after a long pro career. What was that like for
Mm-hmm.
both of you to get to a point where you're like, you know what, I have to really start thinking about something different? And Monique, kind of start with you now. You're in the role as a coach. What was that process like for you to say, you know what, I'm ready to retire, and this is another area, another lane I want to go into?
My knees told me it was time to retire. I just couldn't, like, for real, I couldn't do it no more. I couldn't do it no more. I pushed it as long as I could, and I left
Right.
walking, and that's enough. I always wanted to go out on top. So that was like my goal. So, like, I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna win this championship and I'm gonna win MVP and I'm out. And that's just what I did. But I mean, in the meantime, I knew what I wanted to do. I always wanted to coach. My redshirt year, I kind of got into it because I got to see basketball from a different perspective, like actually coach's perspective because I'm sitting out. So I had just made my connections over the years and talked to Jeff still at Louisville. And then, by chance, I just happened to go to Angel McCautry's basketball court reveal, and that's where I met Bellarmine's head coach, Chancellor Dugan. So she was just talking to me. She's like, "Hey, you want to coach?" And I'm like, no, I'm still playing. This was a couple years ago." And I told her, I was like, "Well, when I'm retired, I'll let you know." And it's literally as soon as I told her, I was like, "Hey, I'm done." She was like, "Come on." So that's where that connection came in at. And I mean, it was a nice transition because I'm from Louisville. I already have a house here. My family's here. So it was just perfect situation for me. And then one of the biggest advice I got was from the assistant coach at Notre Dame. Her name's Sherelle Allen. We played together in Bulgaria. She told me, she was like, "Hey, if you want to be Division 1, stay Division 1." So I'm like, okay, well, Bellarmine's a perfect place because Bellarmine's Division 1. So that's how it all started. And I'm very happy. And I'm super excited about our future.
That's awesome. Taywan, what about you? What was that? And you're still going through it, but what is it like
Yeah.
to get to the point where you got to start thinking about something different?
I would definitely say I would say when I was in the USFL, after my stint in Houston, I started, thinking like, okay, I want to start thinking about what's next, after football. And, mind you, I feel like me personally, I feel like I'm still in that space. Mind you, I still work out every day, so I still train. And I actually haven't declared retirement. So technically I'm a free agent. So like with this job, it's like me having three, because with this job you got to have three or more credited seasons. So I have more than three credited years, so I was able to get this job. So this is like the perfect job while I'm in this phase of figuring out what I want to do, while also still staying in shape, keeping my mind right, my mental, my taking care of my body. I feel like this is going to be a great opportunity to, stay engaged in football and keep building connections. But I would say just figuring out the whole transitioning process is different for everybody. Cause like I said, us as being athletes, this is all we know our whole life: football, basketball. We just doing this our whole life. So it's like, man, it comes to a point where it's like, okay, now we got to figure out what else we good at. Like, and football and basketball, that really takes our whole life. So we really don't, sometimes we may not have the opportunity to really put thought into what we're doing because we so focused on the now and what we're doing in that moment. And I think that's the challenging part for athletes is, when that time comes, it's okay. Now it's like, what's next? It's kind of like, okay, it's a hurdle because, we really wasn't thinking about that. And like now, as I speak to them now, and particularly, I'm talking to active players and former players. Some former players, they like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm still training. Like, I'm not retired. They don't want to hear the word retired. We call it transitioning because, like I said, some guys, it's just in us. So that's why I said, like, it could be different for everybody. But for me, I feel like I'm still figuring it out and I'm still balancing everything. But as Monique said, I feel very comfortable with, how, the trajectory of my career has played out up to this point, because at the end of the day, I control what I could control, not what I can't. So, and that's what it's all about. So, like I said, I let the cards fall where they may.
No, I was just saying that's a really great way to look at things.
Yeah, facts. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so as I talk to athletes from different sports, different eras, they all talk about that moment where that transition happened. And Monique, we all want to go out, like you were saying, all want to go out on top, and you don't want that injury to
Mm.
be the thing, and you left, kind of wondering, could you have left some more out there? And a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of athletes get stuck in that moment in time. And so it's always great to see athletes able to understand where they are, but also have things in place for when that transition happens. And I think it's a good
Mm.
message to young people. Speaking of that, now that both of you have a chance to see the game from a different side, in a sense, so we have a segment called Shark Bite. That's where we ask a question. You have to give a response in, what was it? I think it's 2 minutes or less. So for the
Mm.
Shark Bite segment, with now you're seeing the game from a different side. What is one or two things that you've learned about your sport that you didn't know before, or maybe you were curious about, that now you see it from the other side?
Couple of things that I'm learning now. One is just from the Players Association standpoint, just the money and just how the benefits and how everything works. I didn't know that you got to have 3 or more seasons to, get your 401k, get your pension, get your annuity. So that's what I'm saying. For NFL players, that's what I want to tell these young guys. Some of them, they just looking at it like, oh, I just won't get there. Some guys in USFL, they used to talk about, I just won't get there. I don't even care how long I play. I just want to put on a jersey. Like, no, you want to reach for the stars, aim for the moon. Like, you want to maximize your opportunities and maximize what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, we putting our bodies on the line, and they're gonna get out of us what they want. So we got to get something out of it too. So that's one of the things I learned. Like, as far as the benefits and everything that we can earn, it's really impressive. Like, and it's really a blessing that we get that, because I feel like, as we should. I mean, it's a business, so that stuff that's earned. And another thing I would say is just the operation, the NFL. Not being in the NFL, just being a kid dreaming like, oh, I want to play football. We could say this can attest to all sports, but like, you don't really know how it is until you get there. And just like seeing the business side. So like, with me being traded, like how that happened, and just like our whole team that year, we all got traded. They traded everybody. Some guys got released and everything. And just seeing the operation, how the league works, just the fines, the meetings, just the injuries, everything like that, the training rooms, just seeing how the whole business works. You really get to see it firsthand, when you're there, as opposed to looking at it from the outside in. People just see it like, oh, you play football, you in the field, like, oh, but it's really not that. Like, people don't see the grind, the practices, the meetings, staying after when work's over. You still at the facility, you still trying to learn, you still with the coaches, grinding, going home, late nights, you got study. You got to wake back up, do the same thing all over, for 17 weeks. So that's really, I would say those are two things for sure that I really noticed and more about the game. And, it really stood out to me.
What about you, Monique? What have you learned now that you're in the coaching role?
I've definitely learned that coaching is not just X's and O's. It's very time consuming. And then there's just like a lot of work, like outside of like the, 10 to 15 people you have to take care of. You're always on call because those are the kids are your responsibility. And I mean, just from practices to running scout, cutting up film, watching long games, having to travel and recruit and then come right back for practice. So it's just like always being available. And I mean, I feel like it's a lot of work, but I mean, it's fun if you like what you're doing. But I just didn't realize that it would be like that much work with like paperwork and everything has to be logged in, hours, what the kids do in school, basketball stuff. You have to be on it. Like, my scout is Thursday and I'm already looking at another scout for 2 weeks in 2 weeks, so like you're always on call, you're always on go, and you're always doing something for the basketball. So I mean, and then also practicing every day and traveling. It's very time consuming, but like I said, if you like what you're doing, then you'll love it.
Awesome. So before you guys go, if you don't mind, we'll start with you, Monique. How can the audience come and support what you're doing? How can they reach you and find you on social media if possible?
Okay, well, all my social medias are at Reid _ that's me. And I usually answer on all platforms, especially with like younger girls. I have my own website. It's moniquereid.com where people can check me out, check out my journey, check out videos, photos. You can also look me up at bellarmine.edu for women's basketball. And they have all my information, contact, my number, my email, everything you need on there. And yeah.
Taywan, how can we keep up with you and come support you?
Yes, sir. You can. I actually just now got access back to my Twitter, so everybody can reach me on Twitter as at Silent Grind Two. Really, all my platforms are at Silent Grind Two. My Instagram is at Silent Grind Two as well. I currently don't have access to my Instagram, but I will have access to that again soon. But that's at Silent Grind Two as well. My Snapchat is Deuce Taylor. So it's Deuce, like the number two Deuce. So it's Deuce Taylor, and then Facebook is my name, Taywan Taylor. So everybody can be able to reach me on Facebook, just my real name. So it's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much my info.
Cool. So, Monique, I'm expecting at least a couple tickets when I come up for a game. I don't know when yet, but I'm expecting some tickets. Taywan, I need tickets to something, not to the Panthers. I don't even want to go see that trash,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
something.
yeah, man.
That
You
was
might have to
terrible.
come. Right, football season's over up here in Washington, so you might have to come check out the Wizards or something.
Man, it's terrible. I mean, the Panthers, the Bobcats, pro sports in North Carolina are just
Oh yeah,
not good.
okay, yeah, yeah. It ain't looking too
Not
good.
good.
It ain't look too good this
So,
year.
so real quick, I want to ask you guys, and then I want to let you go. So, Monique, I want to ask you, who's the GOAT? You mentioned some names before, but if you had to put one, who is your GOAT when it comes to basketball?
I'll do one for men and for women's. Okay.
Okay.
All right. My goat for men's
Yeah.
basketball, LeBron James.
Okay.
LeBron James,
Okay.
LeBron. All right. So for women, I'm gonna go with Candace Parker.
That's solid.
Over.
I feel like Emma's too solid.
So you go with Candace over Cheryl Miller.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
She ain't shifty. Cheryl ain't shifty. I seen them black and white tapes. You gotta think people are getting faster, bigger, stronger. It's different.
See, they don't like your pick either. See, they don't like your pick. Your dogs don't like your pick.
I told my sister, text me when you're here. Do not knock on the door.
It's
Teresa,
black
don't
and white.
listen.
She said them white ball days are over.
See, she
Nah,
mad.
for
See, the
real though.
dog's telling the truth. They don't like her pick either. That's what it is.
My sister don't listen. That's the thing. No, yeah, my picks is Cheryl Miller can't guard Candace Parker, man. I'm trying to tell you.
I'm just
She's great.
saying. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Taywan? Who is the GOAT at your position?
My positions, I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take a page out of Monique's book. I'm gonna go men's basketball and football too, though. So football, my position. Gotta go with Randy Moss, man. I'm sorry to all the Jerry Rice lovers. I love Jerry. I love me some Rice too, but ain't nothing like Moss. Ain't you gotta. It is what it
Y'all
is
don't
now.
like
At this
anybody
point,
from the '80s. Y'all don't want anybody from the '80s.
yeah.
Like
So go
everybody
ahead and
else
say we done.
played when there was a cell phone.
Yep, go ahead and call me a millennial, do all that. But yeah, then basketball. Monique said it best, LeBron James. Nobody better than LeBron James, man. I mean, who you want? I mean, come on now. You got schools for the kids. My man, the one rings, the family. You see the family. I ain't got to speak on that. I mean, well rounded. I mean, what more do you want? What more do you want? I mean, leading scorer in NBA history. I mean, we're gonna talk numbers. We can talk numbers. We can talk stats. I mean, they got a lot of stats for the guys that they got, but I mean, when it's all said and done,
See, I
I
like
just think
LeBron because, as Monique had alluded to, the sheer for what he's doing at his size, the speed, the
back
power, the longevity, and
bingo.
the fact that he could literally play every position for a very long time. He's my goat. For women's basketball, I know I said Cheryl Miller, but I kind of like Tarasi. She played for a minute. Played for a minute.
Yeah, she's a
But
dog.
then,
Nice.
but I saw your film, Monique. Ooh, you making me have to reconsider after
Oh
watching some
yeah,
good
I about to say whoever I said I'm number two. Yeah,
I love
I
it.
give it because she's Candace, but I'm right up under her.
I love it. I love it.
Listen,
Well, look, thank you guys so much for taking the time out. I know you're busy. Really, really appreciate it. We're going to chop this up, get this to you, and hopefully later on we can get some one-on-one time, and really get into your story and your journey. It's
absolutely
okay.
appreciate that.
See, your dogs
Appreciate that.
agree with me.